Hi, everyone. I wanted to actually start off this series as far as the basics of generating images because I feel like there were some messages that I got when I first started that I think might be confusing, challenging for some people. Um, and I'll be going over a couple of aspects of what I consider, I guess, best practices when you're generating images. I'm not, there are great images out there, and some of the images I've created have been fantastic, and some have not. It's just the nature of the beast. But when it comes to really kind of honing this craft, and it is becoming a craft, you can play around with it a lot more. Now, I have done Dolly. I've worked a little bit with Midjourney and some other stable diffusion based image generators. The reason why I liked Leonardo is because I had this part here, the community feed, that really helped me to see the images that could be made and how they were made. And you can actually go in and remix. For example, this one. This is a very complex prompt, but you can go ahead and remix it. It will copy the prompt, the negative prompt, as well as the fine-tuned model environment that was used to create this image. Now, you will not be able to generate this exact image. Um, no one else will, but at least they'll give you a start as to what you can work with. But let me go back into my image generation here. And first of all, I'm going to just start with something specific. I'm going to talk about the specificity and how, and just basic image and the appearance, which I think both go hand in hand in what you're trying to accomplish. For example, let's go start with a building in the middle of desert, desert, not dessert. Make sure your negative image is on. My prompt magic strength is about 0.45, which is a good start. Let's see what happens. Okay, that's cool. It's a very nice image. It actually looks rather, excuse me, Middle Eastern in influence, but it's beautiful. Okay, let me go ahead and put a three-story building in the middle of the desert with a large pool, palm trees, and a cabana. This is more of a resort type situation. Go ahead and see what happens and see if Leonardo has decided to work with me today. Now, a note on specificity. I know that there are times, and oh, that's actually pretty. I think it gave me two stories, but I'll get to that in a minute. I know there's certain people who think in broad strokes. There's certain people who think ultra specific. I am somewhere in the middle. So I'll think broad, but then I'll eventually get to more specific through layers. And that's kind of how, when I'm writing, I'll think of something. There are times when I actually see something very specifically when I'm creating a story, but there are times when I have to do a broad stroke and kind of come back to it and layer on the specifics. And this, however you choose to, or however you do your art images, there's no right or wrong way. It's just you got to find your style. And my style is that there are times when I'm very specific, and there are times when um, I have to be general to build on that layer and become more specific over time. As I said, there's no right or wrong way. So what we have here, okay, this more looks like a California resort. I've got the lawn, the chairs, the pool, and this actually could be like a mansion type thing, a hideaway somewhere. And it's giving me about two stories, maybe this third one up here is a story, but either way, it's still a really good image. Now, the appearance is something that would definitely contribute to the mood of the picture. For example, if I'm going to say it's going to have with Christmas lights in the dark, lights that brighten up the night. Let's see what comes up with it here. Aha. Now this looks like something that you would see in like a brochure for a real estate company. And notice I just said, it gives it a completely different mood. Of course, during the day it looks playful and fun. Now it looks like a mansion that is it looks more, you know, it looks more luxurious. And then you have the chairs out here. It looks like it's getting ready for a dinner party or something like that. So the appearance of the picture will definitely dictate the mood. Now, let me go ahead and play around a little bit more with it. Um, Up the night, and I'm going to go ahead and say sky has two moons and vultures. Let me see if it actually works with this. Are flying around. Let me see. Yeah, well, I don't know if vultures fly at night, but they will now. They probably don't. They probably go sleep at night, but either way, it's all about imagination. So let's see what this comes up with when I've added that extra layer of specificity. Okay, I first of all, it gave me a moon, which is cool, and it gave me instead of vulture, it gave me some. I think those are planes. But you'll notice that you know I have it's now looking a little bit I won't say cartoonish, but it does look like something that you'd probably see like on a cinematic movie poster that's kind of got that kind of um, animated look. It does still looks pretty real, but the coloring and the way it does dictate, it does looks like it's definitely got a little bit more of an animation touch to it. And I am in Dream Shaper, so that's also another a fine-tuned model that is more geared towards gaming and animation. But it still looks pretty good, even though I don't have my two moons. Um, okay, let me go two moons, and then let's go with like a red sky flying around a red sky. Okay, my night has two silver and blue moons. Vultures with try. Let's not do vultures with bats flying around a red sky. Let's see how it's kind of a bit gothicy. Let's see how it comes out. I'm looking forward to seeing how this comes out. So is he? Wow, this actually looks pretty good. And okay, it's giving me my three stories, which I'm very grateful for, and it's giving me very nice tall trees. It's not really giving me anything flying around, which I'd probably just have to kind of play around and tweak. If anything, if it's not giving me that part of the image and I'm really kind of set on it, what I could do is I could go into the edit canvas and kind of work with it there. And that's something that I encourage you all to do. I'll include that in the description, the link to that video. But look at this moon. It looks like something is really kind of like some kind of a yeah. It's like something is kind of emanating off of the moon. The sky looks very blue. You can see a few stars, but it looks like a completely different um, appearance. The appearance actually gives it a completely different feel. It's got a bit reddish here. That could be from the lights or whatever, but it definitely gives it more of a, like just a very, I think of it as a very fun feel for a night. And I was hoping it would give me like a little bit of a gothic thing, but it looks pretty good either way. But like I said, if you are gung ho about certain features and you keep trying to generate them and they're not working, you can use you can actually click on, let me see if I can get it here. It's not on this one, But when you go over here, this is the edit in canvas button. You can go ahead and it'll bring it up in the canvas, and you can actually go ahead and see if you wanted to, create those specific monsters or whatever it is. But let me just recap a little bit more about, let me get out of this and just recap a little bit more about this particular best practice. Be as specific as you can. If you need to be specific in layers, that's perfectly fine. But there's some people who really come off ultra specific from the beginning, and there's no right or wrong answer for that one. With regard to appearance, of course, are you going to be dealing with, if you're going to be dealing with a building, if you want something like a Gothic building, actually, let me try something. A 3-story Gothic building in the middle of the desert with a large, dark pool, dead trees, or dead trees, just put dead trees. Okay, and oops, I'm not going to put a cabana, and comma, the sky has 2 silver and blue moons with bats flying around against against the red sky. Well, let's see what happens with this one. So I changed it to a Gothic building, um, in the middle of the desert with a dark pool and dead trees. Okay, that actually looks pretty interesting. It's kind of like Dracula's castle in the middle of a desert. Looks pretty cool. I love the degree, the fil. It's like a filigree type design of the building, and I got my bats. I am very happy with that. I didn't get my tulips, but I got my bats. So again, the appearance and the specificity dictate how you're gonna get an image, how the image is gonna come out, and now it looks like a much more haunting image. Of course, I'm sure there's some of you guys who can probably even make it more haunting, and that's the point. So I'll include some of the prompts that I use, or just the mild prompt that I use, in the description, along with the editing canvas video link, so you can go ahead and play around with it. But really, that's what they mean by being specific. You can speak in complete sentences. You can use commas, you can use periods, you can use whatever you need to use. In some cases, I've seen some people use these, like use a couple of parentheses or 4 parentheses, and I think that's more for emphasis to make sure that that particular, they're it's like a stickler thing for that particular feature. But we'll go over that whenever I go into more, I guess, layering more complex prompts. But for right now, a very simple prompt that you can work with, that you can play around with. And in the next video, I'll talk about dealing with the styles and dealing with media, and we'll go from there. Thanks again for your time, and I hope you have a good day.